Brought to you by WikiVidi.com. Ukraine, sometimes called the Ukraine, is a sovereign state in Eastern Europe, bordered by Russia to the east, northeast, and south, Belarus to the northwest, Poland and Slovakia to the west, Hungary, Romania, and Moldova to the southwest, and the Black Sea and Sea of Azov to the south and southeast, respectively. Ukraine is currently in territorial dispute with Russia over the Crimean Peninsula, which Russia annexed in 2014, but which Ukraine and most of the international community recognize as Ukrainian, including Crimea. Ukraine has an area of, making it the largest country entirely within Europe, and the 46th largest country in the world. It has a population of about 42.5 million, making it the 32nd most populous country in the world. The territory of modern Ukraine has been inhabited since 32,000 BC. During the Middle Ages, the area was a key center of East Slavic culture, with the powerful state of Kievan Rus forming the basis of Ukrainian identity. Following its fragmentation in the 13th century, the territory was contested, ruled and divided by a variety of powers, including Lithuania, Poland, the Ottoman Empire, Austria-Hungary, and Russia. A Cossack republic emerged and prospered during the 17th and 18th centuries, but its territory was eventually split between Poland and the Russian Empire, and later merged fully into Russia. During the 20th century, three periods of independence occurred. The first of these periods occurred briefly during, and immediately after the German occupation near the end of World War I, and the second occurred also briefly, and also during German occupation, during World War II. However, both of these first two earlier periods would eventually see Ukraine's territories consolidated back into a Soviet republic within the USSR. The third period of independence began in 1991, when Ukraine gained its independence from the Soviet Union in the aftermath of its dissolution. At the end of the Cold War, Ukraine has maintained its independence as a sovereign state ever since. Before its independence, Ukraine was typically referred to in English as the Ukraine, but sources since then have moved to drop the from the name of Ukraine in all uses. Following its independence, Ukraine declared itself a neutral state. Nonetheless, it formed a limited military partnership with the Russian Federation and other CIS countries and a partnership with NATO in 1994. In the 2000s, the government began leaning towards NATO, and a deeper cooperation with the alliance was set by the NATO-Ukraine Action Plan signed in 2002. It was later agreed that the question of joining NATO should be answered by a national referendum at some point in the future. Former President Viktor Yanukovych considered the current level of cooperation between Ukraine and NATO sufficient, and was against Ukraine joining NATO. In 2013, protests against the government of President Yanukovych broke out in downtown Kiev after the government had decided to suspend the Ukraine-European Union Association Agreement and seek closer economic ties with Russia. After this began a several months-long wave of demonstrations and protests known as the Euromaidan, which later escalated into the 2014 Ukrainian Revolution that led to the overthrow of President Yanukovych and his cabinet, and the establishment of a new government. These events formed the background for the annexation of Crimea by Russia in March 2014, and the war in Donbass in April 2014. On 1 January 2016, Ukraine applied the economic part of the deep and comprehensive free trade area with the European Union. Ukraine has long been a global breadbasket, because of its extensive, fertile farmlands, and is one of the world's largest grain exporters. The diversified economy of Ukraine includes a large heavy industry sector, particularly in aerospace and industrial equipment. Ukraine is a unitary republic under a semi-presidential system with separate powers, legislative, executive and judicial branches. Its capital and largest city is Kiev. Taking into account reserves and paramilitary personnel. Ukraine maintains the second largest military in Europe after that of Russia. The country is home to 42.5 million people, 77.8% of whom are Ukrainians, by ethnicity, followed by a sizable minority of Russians as well as Romanians, Moldovans, Belarusians, Crimean Tatars, Bulgarians and Hungarians. Ukrainian is the official language and its alphabet is Cyrillic. The dominant religion in the country is Eastern Orthodoxy, which has strongly influenced Ukrainian architecture, literature and music. Etymology. There are different hypotheses as to the etymology of the name Ukraine. According to the older and most widespread hypothesis, it means borderland, while more recently some linguistic studies claim a different meaning, homeland or region. Country. The Ukraine was once the usual form in English, but since the declaration of independence of Ukraine, the Ukraine has become much less common in the English-speaking world, and style guides largely recommend not using the definite article. The Ukraine now implies disregard for the country's sovereignty, according to U.S. Ambassador William Taylor. Early history. Neanderthal settlement in Ukraine is seen in the Moldova archaeological sites, which include a mammoth bone dwelling. The territory is also considered to be the likely location for the human domestication of the horse. Modern human settlement in Ukraine and its vicinity date back to 32,000 BC, with evidence of the gravity and culture in the Crimean mountains. By 4500 BC, the Neolithic Kukuteni Tripolian culture flourished in a wide area that included parts of modern Ukraine including Tripolia and the entire Dniester region. During the Iron Age, the land was inhabited by Cimmerians, Scythians, and Sarmatians. Between 700 BC and 200 BC it was part of the Scythian kingdom, or Scythia. Beginning in the 6th century BC, colonies of ancient Greece, ancient Rome and the Byzantine Empire, such as Tyras, Olbia, and Chersonesus, were founded on the northeastern shore of the Black Sea. These colonies thrived well into the 6th century AD. The Goths stayed in the area, but came under the sway of the Huns from the 370s AD. In the 7th century AD, the territory of eastern Ukraine was the center of Old Great Bulgaria. At the end of the century, the majority of Bulgar tribes migrated in different directions, and the Khazars took over much of the land. Thank you for watching. Brought to you by WikiVidi.com. Please like and subscribe below. Please like and subscribe below.